On today's edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover of the Lunch Break, powered by JM&E, comments from Dwight Davis, Kelvin Sampson, Kevin Durant, Bobby Hurley, Ime Udoka, and Reed Sheppard. All that and more. Join me on the Takeover. It's me, KG Kris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review, and welcome to the Houston Roundball Review Takeover of the Lunch Break on Throwback Thursday. The Takeover is, of course, powered by JM&E, and you are watching the Takeover on either the Houston Roundball Review Facebook page, YouTube channel, or on Roku via the BS3 Network. If you have a Roku streaming device, just download BS3 TV. If you don't have it, why not? Get it. You can go to BS3Network.com or BS3TVLive.com. As I mentioned in the teaser, to start the show, today's show will have comments from Dwight Davis, a Houston Cougars legend, an H-Town basketball legend from Worthing High School. Mr. Ralph Cooper would love that, my mentor. Comments from Kelvin Sampson, Kevin Durant, Bobby Hurley, Ime, Reed, plus news about Rice Owls hoops, Big 12 hoops, and more. Let's get into it. Mr. Dwight Davis was honored this past Sunday, January 18th, at halftime of the Houston Cougars men's game against Arizona State. His jersey 42 was retired officially and hung on the wall inside Fertitta Center. Dwight Davis had an awesome career, college career, pro career. As an activist, he and his wife have done great things. His post-basketball career, which we'll hear about in this press conference. So I want to get today's show started with comments, the press conference from Mr. Dwight Davis.
Dwight, now that the day's here, what's going through you? What are your emotions?
I'm probably trying to tamp them down a little bit. It's a huge day, huge experience. Obviously, something I wanted to happen at some point in time, and now that it's here, I don't have words to explain it.
Well, you had mentioned a little while ago that the fact that it's your alma mater that does something like this does that mean, you've been a Cougar your whole life, but just to have it done by the school?
Absolutely. When I came out of high school, I was highly recruited, and I made the choice to come to Houston for several reasons. One, I was in pre-pharmacy, and they had a good pharmacy program. Two, the program was on the rise after Cheney and Elvin came here, and I was excited to stay home and play in front of my parents. And I went to high school at Worthing High School, so it checked all the boxes for me. Plus, I didn't have very much money, and I couldn't imagine having a wardrobe in it for another climate. Okay, I had the Houston climate wardrobe.
And I didn't realize this, but you just mentioned 42 you picked that number for a special reason.
Absolutely. I was 33 in high school, but when I came to Houston and I finished up my freshman work, I had this choice of numbers I wanted, and I always loved, the Jackie Robinson story and what he meant to sports, and for the African American community and the nation in general. He was just a beautiful man, and so that's why I chose 42.
You want back now?
Dwight, what would you say was your best moment with the Houston Cougars during your playing days?
My best moment? Well, to be perfectly honest, there were quite a few good ones. So I'm not a big stat guy or a big one moment. I can tell you the worst moment. The worst moment when we lost to the University of Texas in Las Cruces, New Mexico. That jumps out. But the best moment, we had some really good games. University of Jacksonville, would be Artist Gilmore and Pembroke Burroughs. That was a great game we had here at then Hawthorne Pavilion. But we had a lot of really great wins. We beat Notre Dame on the road. We had some great wins.
What has inspired all the activism and community engagement you've done beyond the court?
That's an excellent question. Growing up in Houston and attending segregated schools, my entire grade school, years of the high school, Houston has always been, for years, had a very active community of color, and I inherited that same desire. We got a chance to go to Wheeler Avenue Church this morning. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that church, and they had a service there that was very inspiring. The church has meant so much to the community, and it's up to people of color who have a chance or an opportunity like I have to perpetuate it and to get out and be a leader in that. And my father is probably the greatest man I know. He worked 2 and 3 jobs to take care of his 5 kids and his wife. My mother, special too, back in the day, she went and cleaned houses for people and took care of other people's kids. But we were the cleanest kids in school, and they taught us how to respect other folks. But I enjoy that work. Something that a lot of people don't know about is that when the school shooting happened in Newtown, Connecticut, my wife and I, we went to the NBRPA, National Basketball Retired Players Association, and said we need to do something for these kids. And LexisNexis, a company I'm sure you're all familiar with, and another company, Newmarket International, gave us the funds to bring ball players in from across the country. And so that late August, when the kids had to go back to school, most of the kids came to our basketball clinic, and that was a really good feeling. And to hear some of their teachers tell us that was the first time those kids had smiled since that horrible, horrible event. And my wife and I, we treasure that, and that's special to us. So we try to recreate that type of thing every opportunity we get.
What's your relationship with Coach Sampson like, and what does it mean to you that he was somebody who pushed for this to happen?
I have a great relationship with Coach Sampson. So much respect for him. The love that he generates from his players, and to know he coaches them so hard, and he tells them up front when he's recruiting them, I'm going to coach you hard, but during the time you're here, you're not only going to learn basketball, you're going to learn about family, you're going to learn about work ethic. And again, to your question, he's building young men and young women to be special. And so anybody who's in this fight with me to do that got my respect. And for him to push for this made me really happy. We've had administration change, from presidents to coaches and ADs. And I really think that's what happened for me. I just got lost in the wash, with all the changes that have happened. But now we have something like Willie Fritz and Kelvin, what they're doing. We got ranked teams in football and basketball. That's a fun time.
Couple more questions.
Well, I was going to piggyback off of that. With Kelvin, when he came in, he sort of embraced some of the past and the history. Coach Lewis, and things like that. He's kept Hakeem and Elvin close to the program, and last year Don Chaney was honored. Just to know that the success they're having right now, and it's kind of a golden age of the basketball, but they're not forgetting the past, and they're sort of, it's kind of a bridge. What does that mean that you can be a part of this and also see the future of this program?
To be a part of the program, to be of help to the coach in terms of identifying talent, letting young men that he's coaching know, okay, this could be you 20, 30 years later coming to our program. The thing about Coach Sampson, which was different from a lot of the coaches we've hired over years, he did not run from the past. A lot of coaches who came they didn't want to talk about Guy Lewis and past experiences because they knew that was a bar they would one day be called to meet. Doesn't scare Coach Sampson, and that's how he builds his men, not to be afraid.
What's a piece of advice from Guy Lewis that you took to heart that you've applied it to your life as it went on?
From Coach Lewis, one of the things that I admired about Coach Lewis, also I see Coach Sampson, who's a dedicated family man. And that's a thread that you'll see running through my life with my father, Coach Lewis, Coach Sampson. I'm attracted to men who are family oriented, who love their wives and their children.
There you have it. The press conference honoring or featuring Mr. Dwight Davis, a Houston basketball legend, city of Houston, as well as a Houston Cougars legend. His jersey retirement honoring him this past Sunday, January 18th, at halftime of the Cougs game against Arizona State. I hope you caught some of the things Mr. Davis mentioned regarding the respect he has for Coach Sampson, the issues, why it took so long for him to be honored, for his jersey to be retired, the pride he takes in the program. He still keeps up with Houston athletics. You heard what he said about Coach Fritz in football. Football and basketball, men's basketball are two ranked programs at UH. It's a great time to be a Coug. So now to follow up with that, I'm going to play the comments from Coach Sampson after the Cougs win over Arizona State in the Cougs press conference. The first question you'll hear, the voice you'll hear, is from colleague Joseph Duarte with the Houston Chronicle. He asked the question. You heard Joseph during Mr. Davis's press conference, as well as Chris Baldwin from Paper City Magazine, some young Lions and Lioness, Cameron, from Coug TV, Daily Cougar, etc., on campus outlets that are covering the Cougs during that press conference. But here, listen to what Coach Sampson says as reasons why he does what he does, honoring Houston Cougars legends like Dwight Davis, and why it's important that Coach Sampson does it, and why he wants to continue in the future once his coaching time at Houston is done. Head coach Kelvin Sampson.
I talked to you earlier in the week about Dwight Davis's ceremony at halftime.
How was that?
It was great. That's what I was going to get to. You probably haven't seen it, but he actually led a chant there at the end. His words were, "Damn, it feels good to be a Cougar."
That's really good.
So he mentioned the gratitude that he had, probably not much more than what you said earlier in the week. But what does it mean to finally get that done and get him?
Yeah. People get forgotten, but history is so important, especially at the historically great programs. His history. We can't not honor our past. And when I got here, everybody wanted to live in the past, and I said, no, I'm not living in the past. I'm living the future. But that doesn't mean we can't honor the past. But to me, this will always be Guy B. Lewis's program because he started it. He's the one that got us through segregation, brought in the first black student athletes, and got us through a tough time in American society. And I was raised during that time, so I know what that was like. And then Elvin Hayes, the first regular season televised game in the history of college basketball was UCLA and University of Houston, January 18th, 1968. I remember sitting at the TV watching it with my father. And so every year my daughter Lauren does a tip-in banquet, and we always honor a former player. We've honored Elvin and Dream and Reed Geddes and Michael Young, brought Michael Young back, but always honor the past players. All these guys are going to be ex-Cougars one day. But I want them to be part of our history, and I want to honor our history. So when I got here, when I started asking about retiring the jerseys, I wanted to know who was deserving, because I didn't know. I didn't know the history as well as a lot of the historians around here, like Bill Worrell, Jim Nance. So I called Jim, because Jim knew this basketball program more than anybody. And he gave me 2 or 3 names. I called this guy 2 or 3 names, two or three names. So I'm on my 4th athletic director, and I'm on my 5th football coach. The only reason I say that is I've been here a long time. So I've had to fight battles over a longer period of time. But one of the battles was getting those jerseys retired. If you're not in 2 feet, then you don't believe in it, and I believe in it. It was important to honor Don Chaney. It was important to honor Dwight Davis, and there'll be others down the road. I certainly don't want to. The worst thing we could do is not honor someone that's deserving. That would be bad. But I do know that Marcus Sasser and Jamal Shedd are deserving. Consensus All-Americans, Players of the Year, part of the winningest sustained program in the history of this school, and they are all major parts of it. And long after I'm gone, people will come in here and look up and say, Dwight Davis, Don Chaney, Elvin Hayes. They won't know who they are, because time will erode most memories, and new people like these people here, they have no idea who I'm talking about probably. But there'll be people that'll Google Marcus, that'll Google Jamal, and they'll see what they did while they were here. That they led a national resurgence in this basketball program's history, 2 linchpins of it. And if Quentin had been here for 4 years, his name would probably be right there with him. But we got kids. Kingston and Kris probably won't be here long enough, but they'll always be part of this program. And this program's lineage and how we honor this program is really important to me.
Right there. How we honor. It's really important to Coach Kelvin Sampson to honor the past players, previous players, Cougars, for helped establish the program and what they accomplished. Those who are deserving, the All-Americans. It's one of the many things I admire about Coach Kelvin Sampson is the great job he has done reconnecting with former Houston Cougar players, because a lot of bridges were burned, and that's a whole nother shows that Coach Sampson and his staff and Bilal Batley, one of my buddies who I've known for 20 years, Bilal is part of connecting and reconnecting with Houston Cougar alums, previous players from the 50s, 60s, 70s, etc., and bringing them back, making them once again feel like they're part of the program. So that is one of the most important things that I really commend Coach Sampson for establishing and doing a great job of showcasing to people on campus and in the administration how important it is to not live in the past, but honor the past. On this edition of today's Houston Roundball Review Takeover, now I'm going to talk a little bit about the Cougs' win over Arizona State on Sunday. 30-point win, final score of 103-73 as part of a look around town, looking at the schedules and results for Houston men's, women's basketball, Rice, men's and women's basketball, Prairie View, and Texas Southern. And Rice, as I'm recording this, because this show is recorded as you're watching it Thursday, if you're watching it at high noon on Thursday, Rice Athletics announced, and also the American Conference announced, because of the impending weather, freeze, sleet situation, I think it's going to impact a lot of the teams, college teams in our area, high school games, etc. Schools, I work at one, might not have school on Monday because of the freeze and the weather. Time will tell on that. But first things first, get back to the Cougs men's team. They won 103-73 Sunday over Arizona State to improve to 17-1 overall and 5-0 in the Big 12. And before going to the rest of the team schedules, I'm going to play some comments from Arizona State head coach Bobby Hurley. He was asked by Joseph Duarte his thoughts, Coach Hurley's thoughts on Arizona, BYU, and Houston. All three teams Arizona State has faced in this month of January, all on the road. So I don't know what they did at ASU to upset the people in the Big 12 office, the schedulers. But yes, the Sun Devils faced BYU, Arizona, and Houston all on the road in January. And they're still, at the time of the Cougs ASU game, that was January 18th. So they faced those three teams in the first 18 days of January. Three top 10 programs all on the road. But listen to what Coach Hurley said about the Wildcats, the Cougs, and the other Cougs up there in Utah, Arizona, Houston, and BYU.
And they're all like a little bit different. I talked to the guys just watching Houston on film, getting ready for the game, that I think Arizona tries to overwhelm you with their size around the basket, and their guards can attack the basket and they get points in the paint. Houston just tries to beat you into submission and make you want to quit or be somewhere else. Like, so that's just like the intensity that they play with is different than probably anything that I've played against this year. But all three of those teams on any given day really, I think, could be in the same conversation of having a chance to win, like just based on what BYU has, what Arizona has, and Houston. I know I didn't really help there, but it's just...
Some very candid comments from Bobby Hurley, head coach of the Arizona State men's basketball team, on Arizona, Houston, and BYU. Of course, what I wanted you to hear is what he said about Houston and the physicality that the Cougs play under Coach Sampson, beat you into submission and make you want to quit or be somewhere else. That's a telling statement from another Big 12 head coach. What are your thoughts on it? I think it's great for the Houston Cougars. I'm not sure how I feel about that if I was a fan or supporter of Arizona State, but I'm not. I'm a Houston Cougar alum and proud of it. Back to the H-Town schedules. So let's look at this, of course. As of right now, as of recording this, the Cougs game this Saturday in Lubbock against Texas Tech on ESPN, 5:30 Central, is still a go. Getting to Lubbock probably won't be a problem for the team. Now, it might be a problem for my colleague Andy Yanez, because Andy's scheduled to fly out Saturday morning out of, I'm not sure what airport, probably Hobby Airport. So I'm not sure if his plane will leave on time Saturday morning. And I'm not sure, coming back Sunday, if his plane will be allowed to come back Sunday. So Andy and I were discussing that earlier on Wednesday. So we shall see what weather says, what the people out Southwest say, etc. So if Andy makes it to Lubbock, he will join us for Let's Rage Cougs from Lubbock after the game, right around probably 8 o'clock Central, assuming, of course, the game takes place. I think it'll take place at 5:30 this Saturday. Just curious to see how many people from Houston will be able to make it to the game. Women's basketball, Houston Cougars women's basketball, now 0-8 in conference play, 6-13. They lost Wednesday on the road to Kansas State, 69-65. One of their best games of the season. Again, second time they played K-State this month. First matchup in Houston, fourth quarter. Houston led. A skirmish resulted in 4 Cougars being ejected, and their lead went from 6 to a deficit of 4 and ended up losing by 9, 71-62. Wednesday night in Manhattan, Houston's Kendall Hunter scored a season high / career high, 20 points for the Cougs, but it wasn't enough. TK Pitts had another double-double, but it wasn't enough as Houston played well, one of their better games this year, but just couldn't get over that hump and get their first Big 12 win of the season. Houston's next game is in Waco this Sunday. Scheduled. I'm kind of curious to see if that game will take place on Sunday in Waco at 2 o'clock. I kind of doubt it, but we shall see. No word yet on that. Prairie View fell to 3-3 in SWAC play after losing last Saturday at both games at Jackson in Mississippi by 4, 82-78, and the Monday against Alcorn by 1, 76-75. They're home this weekend, Saturday and Monday. We'll see if these games take place as scheduled. This Saturday against Alabama State, tipping off 4:30 p.m. Central, airing on SWAC TV. And then Monday against Alabama A&M, SWAC TV, 6:30. That one might take place, assuming Alabama A&M can make it to the Hill. We shall see on that. Like I said, the weather could impact all these games involving Houston, Prairie View, Rice, TSU this weekend. We shall see. Women's games, Prairie View. The Thursday game should take place. Home game on the Hill against Alabama A&M. SWAC TV will air it. Game tips off at 6 o'clock. Saturday against Alabama State, 2 o'clock on the Hill. That might happen, maybe not. That probably will happen, though, because weather may not be too bad by that point. It's further up northwest of Houston, so we shall see how bad the weather gets there. But stay tuned on that one. Now, the next two, the slides are out of date or obsolete because as I prepared for the show and the recording, the Rice Owls men's team lost at home Wednesday night by 4, 69-65 to fall to 2-4 in the American, 8-11 overall. And then they have originally, the next home game was for Sunday against Tulsa at 3 o'clock on ESPNU. That has changed. Just like this Saturday's Rice women's game against Tulane, 2 o'clock on ESPNU, has changed. I received the email from Rice Athletics as I'm recording this show Wednesday, and you're watching it on Thursday. The Rice men's game for Sunday has been rescheduled to Saturday at 3 o'clock. The Rice women's game is now moved up to 1 o'clock, so it's a double header taking place at Rice this Saturday. Rice women will face Tulane at 1 o'clock, followed by the Rice men facing Tulsa at 3:30. Instead of airing on ESPNU, both those games will now be on ESPN+. So that is the first known impact involving Houston area teams and the weather this weekend. Those games have been rescheduled either a tip time or a whole day. Probably won't be the last. Next, Texas Southern. Men's basketball is 2-4 on the SWAC, 4-13 overall. This weekend after losing in Mississippi, well, they won. They beat Alcorn on Saturday by 1, 72-71. And then Monday lost at Jackson State, 94-89. Saturday, HBCU Go, 2:30 tip-off, hopefully, hosting Alabama A&M. And then Monday, 7 o'clock against Alabama State. TSU women, Thursday game against Alabama State, SWAC TV, 6 o'clock inside H&P Arena. Alabama State women's team is coached by Houston's own Janetta Hayes. Janetta Hayes Perry, Janetta Hayes, Rice Owls alum. Instead, I used to coach at Texas Southern, UNC Wilmington. She's now the head coach at Alabama State. So she's coming home to lead her team against one of her former bosses. Tipping off at 6 o'clock, and then TSU Saturday, hopefully, against Alabama A&M. Game is going to be on HBCU Go, and that's scheduled for high noon Central Time. Bottom of the hour on today's edition of the Houston Roundball Review, takeover of the lunch break. Throwback Thursday, powered by JM&E. You know what it means as you're watching this, as you're a regular watcher, viewer of this show. Bottom of the hour, it's time to play the BS3 promo so you get an idea of what BS3 TV is all about. I am KG Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. The Takeover is part of the BS3 family. BS3 TV, changing the way you watch TV. Be back in 90 seconds.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Welcome back to the Houston Roundball Review, takeover of the lunch break, Throwback Thursday, powered by JM&E. I am, of course, Kris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review. And thank you for watching the show either on Facebook, YouTube, or on Roku. If you're watching on Roku, it's courtesy of BS3 TV. Before I get into showing the comments from Rockets head coach Ime Udoka, Kevin Durant, and Reed Sheppard, as well as San Antonio Spurs head coach Mitch Johnson, I want to share the Big 12 Players of the Week honors, and then I'll get into those comments from the aforementioned coaches and players. Big 12 Players of the Week on the men's side. Texas Tech's JT Toppin won Player of the Week. Cougs, Texas Tech, round 2 this Saturday, hopefully this Saturday, ESPN 5:30 Central. But JT Toppin, Player of the Week. Kansas's Darren Peterson, Newcomer of the Week for the games ending January 18th. Toppin had a pair of double-doubles, averaging 29 points and 13 rebounds for the week as the Red Raiders secured a pair of victories. Toppin had 31 points and 13 rebounds in the 88-74 win against Utah, adding 7 assists and a career-high tying 5 blocks. It marked the first time since 2003 that a Division I player put up at least 30 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, and 5 blocks in a single game. Toppin extended his streak to 7 consecutive double-doubles with a 27-point, 13-rebound performance against number 11 BYU. Toppin finished the week shooting 61% from the field and 75% on three-pointers. This is his 4th career Big 12 Player of the Week honor and his 2nd in the past 3 weeks. Peterson averaged 21 points in a pair of Jayhawk wins, highlighted by the 84-63 win over number 2 Iowa State. Against the Cyclones, the guard from Canton, Ohio, had 16 points with 5 rebounds and 2 steals in just 27 minutes. He scored 26 points on 11 of 13 shooting in the 80-62 win over Baylor, becoming the first Kansas freshman to score at least 25 points on 80% shooting since Josh Jackson in 2017. Peterson has scored 200 points in his first 9 career games, the 5th most in Big 12 history. It is his first Newcomer of the Week honor and the second for a Kansas player this season. Joining Toppin and Peterson on the Big 12 starting 5, which honors strong performances across the league, were Jaden Bradley from Arizona, Themus Folks from UCF, and Baba Miller from Cincinnati. Bradley helped Arizona extend its start to 18-0, the program's best since 2013-14, by averaging 17.5 points in the most recent wins, including 23 points in the 84-77 win at UCF. Folks had 30 in the game against Arizona, while holding averages of 21.5 points, 10 assists, and 2.5 steals for the week. Miller helped Cincinnati to a pair of wins, scoring 16.5 points and grabbing 11.5 rebounds per game, including a 12-rebound performance in the 79-70 win against number 2 Iowa State. The starting 5, Big 12 starting 5 for the week of January 19th, Jaden Bradley, Arizona, Themus Folks, UCF, Baba Miller, Cincinnati, Darren Peterson, KU, Newcomer of the Week, and Mr. J.T. Toppin from Texas Tech, Player of the Week. The women's side, Oklahoma State's Staley Hurd won Player of the Week, and once again, Kansas's Jalea Davis was named Freshman of the Week. I voted for both of them. I got that right. Arizona State's Eloisa Carrera, Baylor's Talia Scott, and Cincinnati's Maya Perry joined the award winners on the Big 12 starting 5, which of course highlights strong performances from around the league. Hurd posted a triple-double, 18 points, 17 rebounds, 10 assists, while leading the Cowgirls to their first ranked win of the year with an 86-58 thumping over then number 19 Iowa State. It was the third triple-double in program history. Hurd became the first Big 12 player this century to record at least 15 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 assists in a game. Additionally, Hurd is the second Division I player since at least 1999-2000 to put up that stat line against a ranked opponent. Hurd dropped 21 points to start the week in an 85-76 win over KU. Hurd was also named the Naismith National Player of the Week while earning her second career Big 12 Player of the Week nod. Jalea Davis scored a career-high 30 points against OSU, Oklahoma State, her 5th time scoring at least 20 points since returning from injury. The standout freshman has scored double figures in each game she's played this season. She added 11 points against Arizona State. Davis collected a career-high 4 blocks against the Sun Devils. This is her 3rd consecutive Big 12 Freshman of the Week honor. Eloisa Carrera set a new career high in points of 22 and made free throws 10 in ASU's 67-51 win over KU while shooting 85.7% from the floor. Talia Scott anchored Baylor to a 2-0 week in the Beehive State, scoring 25 points against BYU and 14 against Utah. Maya Perry averaged 21 points during the week while shooting 48.1% from the field, 53.3% from 3, and 80% from the free throw line. The 2026 Big 12 Women's Basketball Tournament returns to Kansas City's T-Mobile Center from March 4th through 8th or 9th if BYU makes the final. That I doubt it. Featuring all 16 Big 12 women's basketball programs competing for the conference's postseason title and an automatic berth in the NCAA tournament. So there you go there. The Big 12 starting five: Eloisa Carrera, ASU; Talia Scott, Baylor; Maya Perry, Cincinnati; Talia Davis, Kansas; and Staley Hurd from Oklahoma State. All right, Rocket fans. I know you're probably saying, Kris, hurry up, get to the comments from Ime and Rocket Talk. All right, I got you. Here we go. Tuesday night, the Rockets had a come-from-behind victory, home win over the San Antonio Spurs. It was impressive how they did it. Final score was 111-106. Got contributions from Reed Sheppard, KD, Kevin Durant, Jabari Smith Jr., who I think is once again in the Rocket fans' good graces after he got out of his recent shooting slump. Alpin Sengun. They withstood Justin Champagne's, what did he make? Like 8 threes in the first half. Seemed like he knocked down every three he took in the first half. Only held him to 2. They held him to 2 threes in the second half. Rockets came from, I think, 16 points down. It was their largest deficit and won the game. Final score again, 111-106. First up, comments from Rockets head coach Ime Udoka, and then we'll get into KD's comments, Reed Sheppard, and some comments from Mitch Johnson from the Spurs. Here we go. Ime Udoka.
We started guarding, the second half more so than even the fourth quarter. If we had a lot of wide open shots in the third quarter and held them to 22, we felt we were in good shape. But to give up 70 in the first half, obviously way below our standard, and to hold them to 36 in the second half was great. 39-point first quarter, 36-point second half, including 14 in the fourth. So got stops, followed the game plan and personnel much better than the first half, where we gave up a lot of threes, a lot of missed assignments, and then saw some things at half, cleaned that up, and we're in good shape.
What did you see from Reed Sheppard? A lot of confidence and poise there in that second half.
Yeah, taking big shots, being aggressive. I love the 5-point line pull-up, even though he airballed. Like, that shows his confidence, and he was on a good streak there. But we're going to need that from him. Some guys in our lineup looking at some different things, and we're in a little bit of a low there, and I think his offense obviously was a big part of that, getting us out of that.
With a follow-up to Reed, do you see him kind of growing every day, kind of every time he goes out there?
Yeah, the offense is what it is. He's been really good at that. He has big nights. It propels us for the most part. Defensively, taking the challenges is the biggest thing, and putting a little more resistance. I think him and the team did that in the second half to hold them to the numbers we did. And Wembanyama going 5 for 21, Fox 6 for 15, and Castle 5 for 19, and them shooting 39% shows that we obviously guarded a much more disciplined, high level in the second half. Reed was a big part of that.
And obviously, Reed made some big shots in that fourth quarter, but how much did you enjoy seeing the effort where he recovers on Champagne in the corner and blocks that three-pointer when the game was tied late? Yeah, that's what we were talking about. It was contagious, the group in general. I think you don't want to be a weak link out there, and he made a bunch of big plays. Got some tip balls that we almost got, but disrupted their offense, and then took on the challenge of whoever we had him on. And so good job there, because Champagne, obviously 21 in the first half. He hit 2 early threes, and that's it for the game. So we did a much better job third and fourth quarter on him.
For the season, you guys rank pretty low in threes attempted and threes made. Do you view that as like a problem for your team to solve, or is that just the nature of how this team plays, I guess?
It's a little bit of how we're built. I think we don't rely on that to win. We can do a lot of other things, and we have really good isolation players that draw some doubles, and we should, take advantage of getting a little bit more threes there, but we got great offensive rebounders, slashers as well. And so, we're not an analytic-driven team where we're going to take the best shot for certain guys. And for Kevin, he's always been one of the main mid-range scorers in the league. Alperin's one of the best low-post scorers, so you're not going to always rely on threes when you got those guys going.
Coach, you talked about confidence earlier. Is that what you wanted to see from the way that Reed and the way that Jabari played in the fourth quarter, and being able to use Kevin almost as a decoy for them to take those type of shots?
Yeah, we understand how teams are going to guard him. They weren't leaving him at all, whether he was handler or screener. And so to use him as a screener and free up that space for the others really was beneficial tonight. And so the other guys are going to have to step up. We know that teams are going to make some of the young guys prove it. And fortunately, those guys stepped up and hit those big shots.
There you go. Post-game comments from Ime Udoka after the Rockets' 111-106 come from behind victory over the San Antonio Spurs. I love what he said about not being an analytic-driven team. I'm old school. I love that. Now, comments from future Hall of Famer Kevin Durant.
I mean, if you're going to be open up there when you move, knock and shoot the ball. That's simple. Shoot it with confidence, shoot it quick, feel confident in it. And I feel like Barry could take more, I could take more, Tari could take more threes. Dorian going to start knocking them down. I also feel like Alpi could take more threes. I just feel like we all could be better in the three-point area shooting the ball. But Reed, that's what's, it feels like that's what his role is starting to turn into, a guy that can handle that, can come off and shoot threes, that can get us going. It's a spark plug for us. So, it's about time. I'm going to start expecting nights like this from him. It's not going to be, I want to get to a point where we don't get excited about nights like this from him. You know what I'm saying? And because I feel like this could be consistent. And I'm not saying average 21 points, don't get me wrong, but just the level of pace that he played with, coming off the screens, getting steals, getting shots up, 17 shots, no turnovers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like his process was good. And I don't know if it's going to always end up with 21 and 4 made threes, but you never know what can happen from that.
Talk about what a game like this says about where you guys are and what it means for the team.
It says a lot. I mean, we've been struggling. We don't want to beat around the bush. We've been struggling, and it's hard. And we've been struggling against top teams in the league. But to come out here and beat a team that's expected to be there at the end of the season, that's going to be a championship contending team, especially when we've been struggling a little bit. It's one of those wins, man. It's one of those wins. Obviously, you don't want to get too excited in the regular season, but we don't want to undercut what we're doing in the regular season either, just because we're thinking about, 2 or 3 months down the line. We want to celebrate little stuff like this. So I love, like I said, the mixture and shot attempts from all of us, the amount of assists that we had, holding them to 39% for shooting from the field. You know what I'm saying? How many offensive rebounds they had? 14. Yeah, they killed us on the board. But for the most part, they were in the game. I think they were winning the game because they were making threes over us, tough ones too. So everything else, I pretty much feel like we had a great game.
What do you think about what KD said? Those post-game comments. Do you share his expectation for Reed Sheppard to be consistent like that, to be the consistent spark plug offensively for the Rockets? Folks who know me on the Let's Talk Houston Rockets post-game shows, I think Reed is a hell of an offensive talent. His best position is not at the point guard spot. His defense is continuing to get better, especially his one-on-one defense. That still has room for improvement. But offensively, he's much more confident now. And speaking of Reed and his confidence, here are some comments from Reed Sheppard after his 21 points, 4 assists, 0 turnovers to help the Rockets complete the comeback and defeat the Spurs.
One of the things that Kevin said is that he doesn't want this to be like a surprise performance, like this is expected because this is what you have in you. What do you say to that?
Yeah, no, I agree. Just coming out can continue to be consistent, be confident, and just come out and play and especially on the defensive end, just being more physical. Paying more attention to the personnel and just locking in defensively all around, and then offense, just keep doing what I've been doing, shooting the ball and making the right plays.
You had 8 points over a span of a minute and 19 seconds. What are you feeling when you're going through that, that little push right there?
Yeah, it's a great feeling. And it's a lot of it is is confidence from me, but a lot of it is also my teammates. Once I make one, they're looking for me, telling me to go get the ball, and then you have the crowd playing a big role as well. So it's super fun, kind of getting hot and going on a run, but especially in a game like that when you're coming back and everyone's playing well. Like Jabari's three in the corner and pull up was huge. Kevin's going to do what he's going to do. Albie's going to do what he's going to do, and so it was just a good all around win for us.
Reed, you just mentioned confidence, and earlier talked about how fun the game was. What is it like for you to be such a driving force, or what does it do for your confidence to be kind of a catalyst against a team of this caliber? You've had some of your better games against some of the better teams. Just what does that do for you as a younger player who's still trying to find his way in the league?
Yeah, I think it's huge. But I think it's also more than one game. There's a long season, a lot of games that we've played already, and we have a lot of games to play still. So just building day by day, continuing to learn, continuing to get better. But these games like this, they definitely do help the confidence. Just proving to yourself that you can do it, and now it's all about just becoming more consistent and just learning more and more every day.
Yeah, Reed right here. That was the play late in the fourth quarter where you recovered to the corner and blocked the Champagne three-pointer. What do you kind of remember about that play, and how important is it for you to find ways to impact the game outside of just making shots?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I can't just be a one-way player. I can't just be an offensive threat. I have to be able to guard and help the team defensively as well, and being able to guard helps me offensively, just getting in the flow of the game and stuff. So he shot really good in the first half. Then we kind of didn't let him get as many threes up in the second half, but he's a really good shooter, so I knew he was relocating and he was hot, so I knew he was going to shoot it. So just trying to close out the best I could without fouling him.
There you have post-game comments from Rockets guard Reed Sheppard after his 21 points, 4 assists, 0 turnovers against the Spurs Tuesday night, and Rockets 111-106 come from behind victory. Now, as promised, as I wrap up this edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover of the lunch break on Throwback Thursday, powered by JM&E. As promised, some post-game comments from Mitch Johnson, San Antonio Spurs head coach.
A variety of things. We missed some open shots. We weren't strong in creating leads, catches, passes, mental stuff in terms of sharpness on play execution. It was a variety of things all across the board.
Sheppard got loose too. What didn't work in that area?
He got loose, as you said. He made some shots, and we got caught ball watching a couple times. He was off the ball, and he made a couple tough ones. And 29 points is a little high. 22 points, okay. There was just toughness plays all across the board, and they showed themselves. I don't think it was one thing that continued to hurt us, other than just some toughness, mental, physical, all across the board in a lot of different ways that got to us, and it snowballed, and they rode the momentum, and they finished the job, and we gave a lot away and participated in that, but give Houston a lot of credit.
It's been a minute since the defense has taken the pain away from Victor as effectively as they did in the second half. What do you think they did well, like strategically and execution-wise, but what do you think Victor also has to do better, like especially just like being aggressive in one-on-one face-up situations?
Yeah, I think, Houston's played this brand of defense since we've had Victor, so I don't think it's anything new. It's hard to play against. I think our whole team across the board at times, we got rushed, we got pushed off our spots. And so when that happens, whether you're rushed or pushed off your spot, timing a play, sequencing, rhythm, whether that's on an ISO, face up, as you alluded to, or how the play is supposed to be executed, we were just off all half, whether we were in the wrong spots or just the timing of the play didn't get executed correctly. And then they got some good one-on-one defenders, and now you're playing against those guys a lot of times against the clock. And then when that happens, you get rushed up again at times. And we saw that not just with Victor, but the whole team, I thought, in the second half.
How
Obviously, Julian had it going all night, but especially in the first half, do you think some of the makes that he was, the lead that he created from his shooting kind of covered up some of those other issues that you guys were dealing with?
No, I think he got shots because we were playing better offense.
There you go. Comments from Mitch Johnson, San Antonio Spurs head coach. That's one thing, if you follow the Houston Roundball Review, I try to provide the perspective from the opponents. That's why I do that here on the Takeover and do that on other shows as well. So if you're new to this show, subscribe to the channel, Houston Roundball Review. Thank you for your time on that. Thank you for being a subscriber. Spread the word about the Houston Roundball Review on YouTube. Real quickly, the American Conference announced their Players of the Week. David Green from Tulsa was named Player of the Week this 11th week of the American regular season. He helped Tulsa to 2 conference wins this week by averaging 23.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 3 assists. Against Charlotte on January 14th, he dropped 21 points and 3 assists in a win over Charlotte, and followed that up with a 26.7 rebound, 3 assist performance in a big win over UAB on January 18th. Josiah Parker was named Freshman of the Week. Parker aided the Owls, FAU Owls, to 2 league wins and to top of the American standings by averaging 14 points and 9 rebounds after recording 6 points and 6 assists against Wichita State on January 15th. He dropped a big double-double with 22 points and 12 rebounds in a come-from-behind overtime win at Temple on January 18th. Women's side, East Carolina's Kennedy Fauntleroy was named Player of the Week, and Shiloh Kimpson from Tulane was named Freshman of the Week. Fauntleroy had an impressive week, averaging 24 points, 7.5 assists, 5 rebounds, and 2.5 steals in wins over Tulsa and Temple. Kimpson led the Green Wave to a pair of wins over Temple and UAB, averaging 10.5 points. She scored a career-high 11 points with 2 blocks against Temple. Squeezing this in if I can, Rice Owls' Trae Broadnax, once again, was named to the honorable mention squad for the American for the 2nd straight week. He's on a roll, his 3rd honor of the season, this season, and the 5th of his career. He led Rice. Trae's playing well, wasn't enough in Rice's 4-point home loss to Temple Owls. Yes, the American Conference has 3 Owls, 3 schools with the Owls nickname: Rice, Temple, and Florida Atlantic. Closing months, I want to thank and encourage you, if you're not a member of the Houston Roundball Review Business Directory, please email advertise@thehrr.com. But I want to thank and acknowledge for supporting the Roundball Review with a listing in the directory: the African Center of Wellbeing, Bayou Beat, Be Elite Basketball, Byron Riley CPA, the Pinto Leon Law Firm, Pruitt's in the Heights, Star Pizza, Tejas Brewery, United Sports and Entertainment, VIP Realty, and the Saxenian family. Lastly, 2 things. If you're not, please support the Roundball Review this way when you become a Houston Roundball Review YouTube member. 2 tiers: the All League tier for $2.99 per month, the All World tier for $4.99 per month. Early access to new videos. Sometimes not just early access, only videos for members only. Like I shared some content, a new video regarding bracketology, 2 videos regarding bracketology in the Cougs, and some bracketing principles that some bracketologists seem to have gotten wrong or forgotten or don't know. So become a member, scan the QR code, and join the Houston Roundball Review YouTube members only section. Family. Support the All League tier, the All World tier. Support the Roundball Review that way. And of course, you can buy some merch. You can buy a Want to Coug sweatshirt, t-shirt, hoodie, pants, Roundball Review mug, hoodie, t-shirt, sweatshirt. I got new scarves that are now available. Scan that QR code on the screen you see right there and order you some Houston Roundball Review merchandise. Official Houston Roundball Review merchandise. That will do it on this info-packed Houston Roundball Review takeover of the lunch break on Throwback Thursday, powered by JM&E. I am, of course, KG Kris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review. Thank you for your time. Stay warm this weekend if you're in H-Town or Texas or America. Wrapping it up since 1994. The Houston Roundball Review. Local name, global perspective. Take care. Peace.